Hello, class. Today we're going to take a look at jQuery. And similar to Bootstrap, jQuery has a lot of different options and a lot of different functionality. But we're just going to take a look at a sampling of it just so you can get a feel on how we can use it. So first of all, what is jQuery? So jQuery is a JavaScript library, and it is designed to simplify many of the common tasks in client-side web development. And what I mean by client-side web development is the stuff that we've been doing all semester, the stuff in the browser, the HTML, the CSS, and the JavaScript, stuff that gets done on the browser by us as programmers. Not in the back end as database developers or server developers or web server developers. More of the front user-facing experience. It provides an easy-to-use syntax for selecting and manipulating the HTML elements, the DOM elements that we talked about, handling events, and creating animations, and some AJAX requests, which we're really not going to get into AJAX too much, but it does handle with that as well. And it ensures, and this is the important piece, ensures consistent behavior across multiple browsers. So as of now, there are many, many browsers. We have Chrome, we have Edge, we have Opera, we have Firefox, we have Netscape, sort of, we have Opera, sort of, and many, many other ones. But jQuery is designed to make the implementation across multiple browsers work seamlessly and consistently. It abstracts away many of the complex, repetitive code pieces that developers had to write, so it makes a library. So we have a library now of reusable code, and it allows it to accomplish the same work with cleaner, shorter, and more readable code. Developers choose jQuery because it dramatically speeds up development, reduces compatibility issues, especially in projects that need to support older browsers or rely on legacy code. Now, modern JavaScript incorporates many of the features that are in jQuery, that jQuery pioneered. But still, the library is very valuable in environments where reliability, simplicity, and widespread plugin support are important. In its large ecosystem, ease of learning and stability make jQuery a practical choice for enhancing user interactions and building dynamic web pages efficiently. Similar to, like I said, similar to Bootstrap, getting a firm knowledge of jQuery and Bootstrap and JavaScript to a larger extent gives you a great foundation for learning existing websites that you may be taking over as you get into the business world. So we're going to take a look at how we can build some sample pieces out of this and how we can create an HTML page with some CSS and then use jQuery to do some animations and some effects that we've done only before in JavaScript directly. So I've gone ahead and opened up our coding environment. And I'm going to go ahead and actually open it up into a new tab in a minute. But first, I want to give us some new code to start with. And it's just some very basic HTML. And I'll put this, again, like I do with everything, out on our Brightspace. So you see we have a very basic piece of HTML. We do have our viewport enabled. Our viewport is enabled so we can get ready for Bootstrap. We have a title, we have our style sheet, which I'll build in a second. Then we have our heading with an ID, we have a div with an ID, we have a div with another ID, and we have an image with an ID. Now, to make this more interesting, we have to do a couple of things. First, we have to give it some CSS. So let's build our style.css. And I already have this predefined, so I'm going to copy and paste this in from over here. And you could see I have a body, I have a panel, I have a hover box, and I have active. And you can see we have the different paddings and borders and widths and colors, and we have some justification over here. And this will, you'll see this come into play in a minute when we get into it. But I have no JavaScript. I don't have any JavaScript in this code. It's all CSS. It's all HTML. I do want to replace this image. So let's upload an image. Actually, I'll just do upload instead. And let me bring this over here. Can I do two at once? No, of course not. I can do one file at a time. And I will add a second file. Moon. So I have two pictures, a sun and a moon.jpg. Just something better than a placeholder. So if I put in here sun.jpg and I run our web server, start it up, and I open it up into the new tab, so we have a nice full screen view we can jump back and forth into. Here's some information. Here's where it says hover over this box. Right now nothing's happening because we don't have any JavaScript or jQuery enabled. And here's our sun picture, which we'll be using in a little bit. So very, very basic website, very, very basic information. A couple of boxes, an image, a title, a heading, a couple of divs. Very simple. So first thing we want to do is add in the jQuery library. Now, we can do that in a couple of ways. If we have it downloaded locally on our web server, we can download the actual .js file. It is JavaScript. So we can pull in the full file on our web server and have our own copy, similar to what we could do in Bootstrap. So it's a little easier. Or we can do the similar method where we have a downloadable link. And we're going to do the downloadable link just for now. So we're going to copy this guy in, and we're going to copy in our downloadable link. And we are going to put it at the end of the body tag. So let's put that in. And let's line that up. And sometimes indenting makes it a little more readable, so we can do that. Doesn't affect the functionality, just affects readability for us humans. And you can see here is our web page, still looks exactly the same. Still no JavaScript functionality. All we did was build the page and create the link. Now you might be asking, why did we put the script at the bottom? Well, putting the JavaScript at the bottom allows the rest of the page content to load first. So remember, this is loading sequentially as it goes from top to bottom. So if we were over a slow connection, we would want our content to start loading before the libraries did, so users could actually see something instead of thinking that maybe something was wrong and it wasn't working and they navigated away and went somewhere else, maybe to a competitor. We don't want that. So we allow it to load the content first and then load the libraries later. Okay, so far so good. So the next thing we're going to do is we need to create a javascript.js or a script.js file. So let's create that now. And this is where we're going to put our, JavaScript code. And in this case, the stuff that's going to be using jQuery, because now we have JavaScript, we have jQuery, and they're going to be using each other. So we're going to put in a piece of code in our script.js. And we want to put something in there, and this is just a tool for us to show that the JavaScript has loaded and jQuery is running. So we're going to start with this piece of code. I'm going to copy and paste it, and I'll talk to it. So it says in the comment, this function runs after HTML is fully loaded, and this $document.ready, let's talk about that. So if I come back over into our textbook and go to selectors, it talks about the $sign function. The $sign function is used to select DOM elements. So this is where we were able to select our elements. Dollar sign is indicating that it's going to be selecting the entire document. So once the document is ready, we're going to execute this function. This function is a JavaScript function, and it says to log to the console, jQuery is working. So how do we view the console? Well, we have to come over here, and we have to reload our page. And we have to do this, remember we have to do the inspect, and we can go find console up here, and I think my browser is acting weird. No, I take that back. My browser is not acting weird. We did forget one piece. Well, not we, I forgot one piece. So we did put this piece of JavaScript in here in our function so it could write to the console. We forgot, again, well, I forgot the important part of actually referencing the JavaScript in the HTML section. So I need to put in here, the link to script.js. Otherwise, this thing will not work at all. So let's get that in there. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to put it right above the body section. And it did not like that paste. I don't know why it's up in there, but let's try that again. There, that's better. And we'll clean up the formatting a little bit and give a little room. So there I have my script.js. And now let's come back over and do a reload. Uncaught error. Dollar sign is not defined. Does not like the document. That's very interesting. Let's take a look at that and see if I can figure out why. Okay, so let's go back to our code and take a look to see why it's not liking the dollar sign is not there. Okay, so we have our custom script referencing. Oh, I see what it is. So remember, so this is referencing jQuery. This dollar sign document notation, this is referencing jQuery. In our HTML, we have our jQuery loaded after the script. So I think we just need to change the order and load jQuery first. So order of operations does matter. Let's get that in there. Now we have our JScript library, jQuery library loaded first, followed by our custom scripting. So now the reference from here is valid because we have it in here. So if I come back over to our website and I do a refresh, no errors, good. Let's take a look at our console. Yeah, great, here it is, jQuery is working. Okay, so that was my fault again. So we might make sure that we have our libraries loaded in the proper order, otherwise we're going to get weird errors. Okay, so let's play around a little bit with jQuery now. So let's add a button, and we can add a button to toggle the display of that panel. This is some information on my page panel. So let's put a button in here first of all, and I'll just type it in this time, and we'll call it toggle button, and we'll give it some text of toggle panel, and we'll end it. So if I display my page, here's my panel. Doesn't do anything. It's a button. Works like a button. Doesn't do anything now. And now I want to be able to add some JavaScript now, or some jQuery, to take action on the click of the button. So what we're going to do is we're going to use $ again, and we're going to select our ID of toggle button, right? Because that's what we called it. toggle button, and we got to put that in quotes first of all. So we're calling out our selector, we're selecting the toggle button, and we're going to take a click. So if we click on the toggle button, we're going to execute a function. And in that function, this is a JavaScript function, and we are going to select the panel. Oops, forgot the parentheses. Panel. We're going to select that panel, which is right here. We're going to select this ID, the panel ID. And now we're going to use one of the jQuery functions. And we're going to use, we can use slide toggle. Now you're probably saying, how do I know what slide toggle is? Well, as with Bootstrap, if you go to jQuery.com, and I'll make sure I post these links out there, there is a great tutorial and great API documentation on how to use all these different functions. And you could scroll here on the left and you can read about all these different features, and it lists them all out. I mean, I could certainly slide down to slide toggle if I wanted to. Here it is, slide toggle. Display or hide the matched elements with a sliding motion. And you can drill into the effects subsection, and it gives you the different effects that you can use, and you can click into each one and it'll give you some more detail. I'll click into slide toggle. It tells you about durations. You can set how fast or slow you want it to go, what happens when it completes. Do you want to use a function to do something else? So maybe you want to chain different actions. Lots and lots of different options here. So definitely take a look at the jQuery documentation. And even further, if you want to go even further, there's another website, well, it's a subdomain, learn.jquery.com. It kind of walks you through all these different questions and chapters, and it's a big tutorial. Like I said, there's no way we're going to learn all of jQuery in a single semester class, but this will give you a taste for it and allow you to start digging into it in much more detail to see what you can and can't do with it. So again, I'll put those links out there for you to investigate. But basically with this, I have my slide toggle. So if I did this correctly and I refresh my web page, I don't have any errors, which is great, and I toggle, you can see how I click on it and it went away. I was able to use jQuery to execute some JavaScript to make that panel that I selected in this toggle button disappear. Well, there's some other ones we could try. We could try hide, and we can click it. Just disappears completely. Doesn't come back either. Just gone. We could try show. Well, it's already being shown, so it's already going to be there. We could try fade toggle. What do you think that one's going to do? Fades away. So you can see there's lots of neat little graphics and animations that you could do with different very simple pieces of code. A very small piece of code to do that. Cool. What else can we do? Well, we also have that other piece of code, the hover over this box. We haven't done anything with. So let's do something where we could hover over this box. So let's add a little more CSS for this first, so we can have it change color. Actually, I already have it in here. So this is the hover box. So when we hover over the box, things are going to change a little bit, and we'll use that. We have the active background color, so we already have that in there, so we're going to use this. So we're going to add some more JavaScript, and we are going to use, I don't know if you remember those events. We had mouse enter and mouse leave, where a mouse enters an area and a mouse leaves an area. We're going to use those events to change how this looks. So first we're going to have a $sign again, and the selector is going to be hoverbox, and that's what we have in our index, hoverbox, right? The hoverbox, the gray box. And in it, we're going to take the mouse enter event, and we're going to execute a function. And that function says we're going to use this element, and we are going to add a class. So we can add classes. So we're going to change the look and feel of the box when the mouse moves in. So we're going to add a different CSS class to it. And we're going to add active. And we're going to add some text, also, mouse in. So, the active, if we look at our style, changes the background to yellow. So let's see what that looks like. Mouse in. It didn't turn yellow though. That's very interesting. Did I make a typo? Most likely I did. Let's take a look at that. Add class active, text mouse in, this. Oh, it looks right. Let's see if I can understand why. Mouse enter. This add class active. That's interesting. Let's try a little troubleshooting. Let's take out the text mouse in and see if it changes. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So it does not like adding the active class to it. That's very interesting. Okay, so I just stepped away for a minute to do a little research and try to find out what was going on here. And I came across in the style that we're using a ID selector. And we're using a class selector. So for the ID selector, it's setting it to gray. And the class selector is setting it to yellow. Now if we remember, and I clearly missed this, ID selectors are more specific than class selectors. So when we have conflicting rules, the hoverbox rule won the race, since it's more specific. So it was able to have its background color win the choice. So it stayed like gray. All the other things came across, but the yellow never happened. So what we just need to do is we need to make it a little more accurate, and we want to do hoverbox dot active. And now, if I come over here, and I already did it. I refresh my code, and I hover over it. Now we have the proper coloring. So just goes to show, sometimes you got to go back and take a look at your CSS rules and make sure that you're specific enough where you need to be. So we finally got the mouse in to work. Let's take a look at the mouse out now. And that should be a little more straightforward now that we know what we're doing, or at least I know what I'm doing. We're just going to do the same thing, and I'm just going to kind of cheat, copy and paste the code. Instead of add class, we'll do remove class. And instead of mouse in, we'll do mouse out. So now, running this little piece of code, mouse in, or mouse out. Oh, that was weird. That didn't work either. Let's take a look at why this is not working now. That was very odd. I was not expecting that at all. Oh, not mouse enter. Gotta be very careful with copy and paste. Mouse leave. I forgot to change the actual click function. So now, mouse in, mouse out, mouse in, mouse out, and we have our toggle still working. Very good. All right, sorry about that. So we had a little live troubleshooting there. So that always presents exciting challenges. So I think the last thing I want to show with jQuery is how we can actually change some images. So we have this nice little sun picture here. Let's say if we click on it, we convert that to a moon picture. So we can add a little more JavaScript. We can do swap image, because that's the name that we gave it in the HTML, right? Swap image, the ID, and we'll give it a, oops, I forgot a quote over here. And on the click, we're going to do a function again. And in our function, on this element, we are going to change the attribute from the source attribute. We're going to change it to, in this case, moon.jpg. Now let's see if that doesn't give us any grief like the other one does. Okay. We have our panel, that's working. We have our hover box, great. I'm hovering over our sun picture, nothing happens. And if I click on it, it changes to the moon. So great. So we were able to click an image and change it using jQuery. Very cool. And I'll post all these codes and images in there so you could try around with it. But that in a nutshell is jQuery and how we can use predefined libraries to make some very simple changes with some very small, easy pieces of code. So try it out, try around with it, try some different functions, play around with it, and see what you can make it do. That's half the fun of code development, is figuring out what you can do and how you can make it happen. So anyway, that's it for now. I'll post this code in the video, and see you next time.